Hey there guys, this is Joffrey with Goose Lawn Care. Hey, how's it going? You can see I got the truck in here today. Got the trailer outside. It's actually flaring out right now a little bit. Maybe going to do a little snow out there, we'll see. But I'm going to change the oil in the truck today. Chevy Silverado 2500. Anybody want to guess how many miles I got on here? Take a look. Ice possible. Drive with care. Oh yeah, we know that. I'm at 55,562 miles. Okay. And anybody want to guess then when the last time the oil has been changed? Well, guess what? It's been quite a while ago. It's been probably 6 months. You guys are thinking, gee whiz, he doesn't change his oil very often. But you know what? I change it about twice a year. A lot of you will not believe it, probably. But let me find this here. Here it is. I last changed it on 6/22, and now it's 12. Well, I don't even know what today is. The end of December. But guess what? 52,439. I'm at 55 something. So it's a little over 3,000 miles. And you guys are thinking, good night, that is not very many miles. I last changed it before that back in December of last year at 49,630. So there you have it. I put on about 6,000 miles a year driving. And nobody believes me when I tell them that because I have a lawn business. Of course, you know that. But that's called route density, guys. All my yards are very tight within about 5 miles of each other. Most are within 3 miles of my house. So that's what you got to do. You got to have that route density. And that's what keeps you going. Okay, that's what keeps the things down, the expenses down, keeps down wear and tear on your truck because you're not driving very far. Of course, driving short little trips ain't good for it either, but it does keep down the mileage, and it keeps you from going very far, obviously, but it just helps you to make more profit because you're not you have no windshield time, as they say. All right, well, I'm going to get some footage here maybe of changing the oil a little bit, so we'll see in a bit here. Keep tuned. Okay, so here I go. I get underneath there, and it's a tight squeeze underneath there. Some guys like to drive up on ramps. I do not really like to do that just for safety factor. Since it's a 2500 Silverado, I can pretty much fit underneath there pretty good. The truck sits high enough. But anyway, get the plug out, and I really have to make sure this pan is back pretty far because when it first comes out, it really shoots out far, you'll see. And there it goes. And anyway, make sure it's back far enough, and then I slowly just slide it over as I go, because then when I drop the filter off, that comes straight down, and that's to the left, and you'll see that in a second. But here's about when I realized I made a real stupid error. That pan, I thought, wow, boy, it's really filling up. Well, it has a plug in there, and so you have to actually take the stupid plug out before you start doing that. So anyway, I reached down there real quick and pull it out. Of course, then I got oil all over my hand, and then I realized I have no kind of towel or rag or anything. And so now what am I supposed to do? So when I'm trying to shake my hand off, you can't really see as my head's in the way. And by the way, I realize how bald I'm getting. My wife's been mentioning that for a while, but look at it back there. Anyway, now I'm shimmying, doing a shakeroo, trying to get out of there. And I slide that pan over because I'm going to drop the filter in a minute. But I did have to slide out of there, wipe my hands off, and then now here I'll do the oil filter. And same thing, oil always gets all over the place. You should wear rubber gloves, and I don't know why I didn't do that either. But this time at least I had a rag down there. So anyway, I drained that out, dumped it in there, and I'm kind of in an awkward position. But now I'm putting the new filter back on, and you make sure you always want to take that gasket on the, well, first make sure the old gasket's off, and then that new gasket, I usually put a fresh coat of oil on there to kind of make sure it's not going to dry out and get a good seal, and turn it about as tight as I can get it, hand tightened. Which is usually always tight enough. I've never had any issues. But I tighten it as hard as possible. And then put the drain plug back in, and then tighten that up with the socket. And clean everything down there where I made some messes and spilled a little bit of oil and stuff, of course. Can't have an oil change without making a mess, right? But now here's where it would be nice, kind of to have a little more clearance, obviously, because it is tighter anything when you're trying to turn around and stuff. But anyway, I get that thing on there and get it as tight as possible. Just hand tighten it. I don't use a wrench of any sort to do it. But I just crank it down with my hand, and I've never had any issues, luckily. But especially on the mowers, I never would want to use a wrench, because I've seen them where when you go to take them off, they will hardly come off of there. And I don't know if just because they've kind of seized on once they get hot. And but anyway, get that all taken care of, and make sure everything's cleaned off, plugs are tight, the filter's good, and it'll be time to put some oil in there. And what I use here in just a second, we'll get started on that, but I'm just making sure, double checking that's extremely tight, and I'm ready to go. You got to be real careful underneath there with the exhaust. One time I did burn my arm a little bit on the muffler exhaust pipe there, and I pretty much always wear coveralls now when I do it. But anyway, now it's time to add the oil, and I'm using 5W30. That is castor oil, as you can see, and just be careful to pour real slow, because you pour too quick and you're going to make a mess doing it with that also. But go ahead and do that. I like to put almost all of it in there and just check, because I think sometimes maybe you don't get all the oil out. It's supposed to take 6 quarts, so I put up 5 quarts in at once there, and see how I probably should have poured even a little slower, because it was getting up to the top of the funnel. But then I take the last quart and I poured in most of it, and then I decided to check the dipstick a little bit. That way I know I'm not overfilling it. But I usually, check it, and it looks pretty good. And then after I've run it and it's cooled off and sat overnight, then I'll check it again the next day, just to make sure. I just want to make sure I don't overfill, because I've always been told too much oil is probably worse than if you're down just a little bit, just because if it's too much, it's going to find a place to want to leak out. So anyway, I'll just check it a couple times, make sure it's good to go, and looked like it was okay. It was right at the mark. And like I said, I'll check it again then next day after it's sat for a while and been cold, and I know that it's run all the way through the engine then, at least. That's what I like to do with my mowers too. But I need to be better about checking it on a regular basis. It's a good thing to check your oil, every so often, and I usually don't, but I need to get better about that. But anyway, now I'll show you how you go about changing the oil monitor. So to change the oil, go to this little car button here, scroll through there. There it says engine hours. Press to change, press to calibrate. Oil life remaining. I'm going to hit the button. I hit that X, and now it says 100% oil life remaining. Okay, there we go. And that's all you do to change it, you guys. On my old truck, you had to push the pedal like 3 times within so many seconds after hitting a button. But pretty simple. All right. I'm going to close the hood and I'm going to fire it up. Make sure I got everything out of there. But that's all for it, guys. All right. Hey, we'll talk to you later. I got to make sure I got everything out of here. I just got that oil pan there. And I can back straight up. All right. We'll catch some footage of that. All right, sounds like it's good. And look at that. We got a little bit of snow coming down. Hey, maybe I'll be able to use that snow blower. We'll see. All right, guys. Have a good one. It's been John for Good Lawn Care. I got to hook the trailer up, put her back in.